Hi there. My name is Michelle, and I just want to share a little bit of my process of losing my son. Um, and I want you to know that there is hope and that you can get through this difficult time if you are also experiencing a loss in your life. In my particular case, I lost my 16-year-old son. It was 2 years ago, last month on September 4th. He passed away in the year of 2022. His name was Jayden Donald LeBlanc, and Donald was named after my father, who had also passed away. Um, Actually, the month that I had conceived my son who passed away. Can you believe that? I'm just kind of like it's just dawning on me right now as I'm sharing it. Um, My son was a beautiful, vibrant young man. He had a bubbly personality. He was the type that would love to open up someone who was kind of like a little, in a cocoon or whatever. He just had that personality to walk into a room like, hey, I'm here. you know. Sometimes he didn't always have a proper filter on what's the word I'm looking for? Not socializing, but knowing always the proper etiquette way of doing or saying things. He was just Jayden, I mean, as he got older, as a teenager, he used a little bit more, but when he was younger, oh my gosh, he was just, say it like it is, and he was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. And he, we lost him, 2 years ago, and he had a motorcycle accident. And there's a lot of things that can go through the mind of a parent. You know, I shouldn't have let him go. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. You go through the cycle of all your regrets as a parent when you're going through your loss and all the things you could have, should have, would have done, you know. And we can get caught up in that cycle. And why? Why did this happen to me? It could be, this is my fault. Maybe there's not a why did this happen to me. Maybe it's specifically that, it's my fault. I should never have let him go. People have different reasons and different ways of processing through guilt and regret. But the important thing is that we don't get caught up in that cycle. That cycle is vicious. It can be vicious. And it can spiral us down and spiral us down fast if we let it. The most important thing that we can do is find something about our loved one to live for. Okay? If you feel like you have nothing to live for, but you should always have something to live for, whether it's your other family members and loved ones or whatnot. There's always something that we can live for, but sometimes our mindset or our emotions say there's nothing else to live for. My challenge or my encouragement is for you today is to find something to live for. And if you feel like you have nothing else, he was your one and only, and he was, the only one that you had in your life, or it could be she. I'm going to speak more from maybe a he perspective at this point, just because that's what's familiar to me. So if I do that every now and then, just bear with me. But we can get caught up in that if we let it. And then really ultimately, the big question is, and we've heard this said over and over and over again, would your loved one want you to go through this pain and sorrow? But they want you suffering. Most people will say no, he wouldn't, but I still can't help it. And there is a grief process, and that is not to be belittled. And if some people tell you to move on before you're able to, and that you need to process through and there is a balance. There really is a balance. Everyone's process is different, and how you go through it is going to be different and specific to you. okay? Because we all have different ways of processing. Some people get blocked off emotionally. There could be just an innate thing within us in our own lives from past traumas or past things that we've gone through and experienced that causes our emotions to lock off. There's other people that the emotion just doesn't stop coming, and they could feel like they could be in bed for years, okay? There's other people that kind of go through ebbs and flows. Some people need to talk about it. Some people need to write about it. Some people, like, there's all these different ways of processing through pain. So that, first and foremost, never think that you have to fit under a certain category of, this is how I need to process my grief. This is the time frame I need to. Remember that everyone is different. And that is the most important thing that I can say and share right now to start off this video. And again, this is spur of the moment. So when I'm done the video, there might be all kinds of things that I wish I said and all of that. Regrets, right? We're not going to go there. I'm going to share what I feel on the spur of the moment. And so regrets and having not much to live for. If you find yourself in this category, I want to challenge you. I want to encourage you, maybe is even a better word. Again, we've heard that analogy or that saying, or however you want to put it, would your child or loved one want you to suffer? And we always say no. And that doesn't always seem to work. But I'm going to reiterate it again. Now, whether you believe that your lost loved one's spirit lives on, or their consciousness lives on, or their energy goes and recreates into another form of beautiful life, or whether you believe death is the end, if you believe in heaven or if you don't believe in heaven, if you believe, there's so many different, let's set aside all of the beliefs, okay, for now. Would your son want that? And the answer, of course, should be no, okay? I'm going to drive that point home a little bit more. Not just would our lost loved one want us to feel that way, but would you want his life or her life or their life to live through you? To live through you. If you do, there's a way that you can channel your grief or funnel your grief in a way of helping your son to live again through your life. I want to encourage you to find that. To find that thing that you can allow to live through you, to honor him or her. They may have had a passion for nature. My son loved nature. He loved sunsets and sunrises. He loved adventures, and he loved having fun. He loved making people laugh. He wanted people to know they were cared about. What is it that I can do? What I chose to do? I would go for my walks first and foremost. That was one of the number one things that I needed to do for therapy. And when I was doing it before he passed away, I had chronic pain for 8 years, and I had anxiety already, stuff like that operating in my life, that I was trying to change the way my neural pathways were going, because I was getting a lot of physical sensations and issues happening in my own body just because I never processed emotions properly throughout my life. And then my son passed away on top of that. And luckily, prior to his passing, those 7-8 months before that, I was given some techniques and different things to help me to learn how to rewire my nervous system for healing and stuff like that. And I knew that when I lost my son, I needed to stay on that, or the chronic pain would go through the roof again. My anxiety, the stress illness, all this kind of stuff would go flying through the roof. And I knew I needed to stay on top of it. And so I learned to channel my grief in my process. So for me, I was going for regular walks because regular exercise, fresh air, sunlight, all of that, nature, there's something about being outside of a box, meaning a house or a building or whatever, getting out into that fresh air, there's a huge impact in that. If you can't do that, open your window, sit in front of the sun, letting it come in through the window. Whatever way you can get access to nature, use that as part of your therapy. Exercise is also huge. If you are able to do physical exercise and you're not immobile or can't walk for whatever reason, if you can walk but you just don't have the motivation, maybe you're like just flat out exhausted and you have a hard time getting out of bed, and it's not necessarily from a lack of sleep, but you're just exhausted. That's your body, your nervous system that needs healing. So you may need to rest for a while if it's not too long after, but if you find that that continues on, you can't allow that to steer your life. You're going to have to find a way. I don't know how many times I had to tell myself, and even before my son passed, the exhaustion would come on my body. And I knew at that point that it was a nervous system type of a thing, because once I'd get up, I could function and I was okay. But the lethargic and was very heavy on me. I'm not going to get into all of that because there is a lot of stuff that all of this can be and stuff, and it's a whole other rabbit trail. But let's just jump back up to where the point I was trying to make is that get out, get some exercise, you need those good chemicals from your brain pumping into your system. It is also recommended to get sunlight first hour from waking up if possible. That helps set your cortisone levels, to get those in the morning instead of later in the day, which will keep you more up at night. Cortisol is actually often known as a stress chemical. But it's a good thing. It's not always a bad thing like stress, because that's how we've gotten to know it. But if we get up and get out into the sunlight within the first hour of every day, it will help set your circadian rhythm. You can look that up. That's kind of like your inner alarm clock of your body, to have that cortisone levels at the right time when you're supposed to have it, to bring you awake and alert. Instead of when you get that cortisone later in the day, it's kind of more, when it does, turns into anxiety and stress and keeps you awake. You're supposed to get that at night so you can sleep. So it's important to get your cortisol levels at the right part of the day to help with that. So that's one of the things that you can do as well. If you can't get going that quick in the morning, just get out in the sunlight as soon as you can. Don't overstress about it. Don't, if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon before you're managing to get yourself out, just do it. Get out, get the fresh air, get the exercise, clear your mind, get good oxygen. There's different things that we can do, okay? I'm probably still getting off track here, but it is what it is, right? It's spur of the moment. So that is a big thing. Deep breathing will also help. In through the nose is always recommended as ideal first. And if you go back out through the nose, if you go for 2 seconds in, or 3 seconds in, I should say, is probably a more medium one, as what I meant to say. 3 seconds in through the nose. And then hold, and then 6 seconds out the nose. Try it again. So double the amount out as you come in, and then have a brief hold in between before exhaling. Through the nose is best because a lot of times we go way too fast out the mouth. Although you can do in through the nose and out through the mouth, but if for some reason you can't do the nose at all because of limitations or anything, do everything through the mouth. But ideally, it is best through the nose and out through the nose. If you have to do one or the other, in through the nose, out through the mouth. But nose is always best. It slows us down. Make sure that we're taking that time, and you do your second counting and making sure it's double the amount out as in. And 3 seconds is one of the best recommended ones. Some people can't do like 4 in, 8 out, right? It might be too much of a breath. So you just kind of find out what you can do, but 3 is a good place to start. The other thing is there's other type of breathing techniques that you can do as well. But just deep breathing will help regulate your nervous system as well. All of that to say, back to where my point was initially, is to find something to live for. So for me, I had to do a lot of self-work, learning, engaging my mind, listening to podcasts, finding out how to handle anxiety and process stress, and all of those emotions. You're going to have the grief and all this, all the pain and traumas and all of this stuff. Immerse yourself into videos of learning how to deal with these type of things and how to change the neurological brain pathways. That's a big word in itself, but when you dig deep, that is really a good thing. So cognitive therapy is good. Self-talking to, I'm getting off track again, but cognitive therapy is good. You've heard a lot of people say positive thinking. Well, you know what? When you're in grief there, or you're in pain or anxiety or whatever it is, the symptoms that you're working through, think positive or speak positive doesn't always work, okay? And I'll tell you why. There's a balance here. That's what, first, let me say that just at the beginning. If you feel horrible and you say, I feel great, I feel wonderful, I feel good, I feel great, I feel wonderful, and you feel like shit, your brain knows that you feel like shit. And all it's going to want to do is scream through your emotions all the more to be heard, okay? So you need to first acknowledge your pain and your feelings and let it out, okay? Positivity is great, but you've got to do it right, okay? In the sense of feel your pain first. Let it out. If you need to scream, if you need to cry, if you need to hit your pillow 1,000,000 times, get it out. But just like a passing cloud, when you see those wave of emotions come, acknowledge them, recognize them, and then once you feel them, let them pass on by, okay? Don't stay buried in it. Now, it might hit again tomorrow, or it might hit again in an hour, or in 5 hours. Feel it as it comes, but don't allow yourself to stay in it on a constant basis. Again, balance. If you're just going through your grief, okay, you've got a lot of emotions to process, okay? Be patient with yourself. And if some clouds move quicker than others, okay? But the point is that we need to allow them to pass, okay? We can't stay in it. If we do, we're going to spiral down and our nervous system is going to get way out of whack and we're not going to be able to function, okay? You need to try to teach your brain safety in the midst of all this. So first, feel your pain. And then as a way to try to allow it to pass by, we need to do some cognitive therapy sometimes, okay? So an example of being positive but not going into denial would be something like this. So instead of saying I feel great, I'm strong, I'm gonna, blah, 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 you can say, I'm gonna get through this. There is hope for me. No matter what I feel like, it's going to get better. And I'm gonna take steps each day towards my healing. Now, healing doesn't mean that you don't ever feel pain again. Don't misunderstand that word, okay? By healing, I mean that we're able to think about them and miss them and grieve them in our hearts, but it's not controlling our lives anymore, okay? So your positivity is not denying your pain, but it's remodeling it, or I can't think of the right word that I'm looking for, but there's a word that I want to use and I can't think of it, but you're rewording it. Okay? So instead of I feel wonderful, say I'm doing okay. I'm going to get through this. So you're acknowledging that you're going through a rough time, but you are being positive and hopeful that you are going to get through this. Thinking this does not work very well. The thoughts, we can have a million thoughts go through our head in the span of a few minutes. Well, I might be exaggerating a bit, but you know what I'm saying. But our words are powerful. So you need to get in front of a mirror or just open up your ears and listen to yourself speak, and you talk to yourself. You tell yourself that you are going to get through this. And then you talk to yourself like you would kind of like a friend, or, when you're a therapist, you know what I mean? You give advice to someone. A lot of people will give advice to their friends and family members that are going through a rough time, but when it comes to themselves, nope. I've given so much advice to other people throughout the course of my life, and didn't really like the idea of talking that way to myself. Much harder on ourselves. Most people are much, much harder on themselves. Okay? So we need to start talking to ourselves like we would wanting to give advice to somebody else. And if you've never really learned how to do that, because you've never really experienced good parenting growing up or good relationships, then, type in, what is cognitive therapy? And, just type in Google or whatever, and it'll bring up some examples and stuff. But you're basically telling yourself, you know what, I'm going to get through this, okay? Cognitive and being positive, I guess that's more positive thinking. Cognitive therapy is a little bit different, and I don't know if I should get into explaining all of that, but it could be something as, if I dumb it down without getting into the grief thing as much, and just say something like, like say someone said something that was harsh to you and you want to retaliate. Well, cognitive therapy would be, will me blowing up at that person resolve the issue? And then you talk about act like the therapist. No, you'll probably make things worse. Okay? Or the answer might be, but if I talk to them nicely and kindly, they may listen. Okay, so cognitive therapy could be, well, okay, what can I do to change this? Maybe I need to talk to them about my feelings. Okay? If that type of a person will just never ever listen to what you have to say, the cognitive therapy could be, do I think that they won't listen to what I have to say? Or, based on past experiences, are you sure? Okay, so if it comes to that part, are you sure? Then you say, okay, then what can I do to change things? Is there anything that I can do to help this? Does getting angry solve it? No, it doesn't solve it. What would help me process through this anger and this pain? Well, I could write down my feelings, or I could, talk this out. You come up with these type of solutions, okay? If the solution is, yeah, I need to talk to them, okay, go talk to them. So if you talk to them and it still doesn't go, okay, good, then you think, okay, what do I need to do to change this further? Okay, do I need to talk to them again? No, they just didn't listen the first time and they don't. Could I change my approach? Yeah, that might work. Maybe I handled it wrong the first time. I got to apologize and try a different approach. Then you might try that. If you're like, no, it won't work, then I got to let it go. And if you got to let it go, then you don't want to say, well, holding on, no, it doesn't. Okay, so that's kind of an example. You talk yourself through it. I'm going down a rabbit hole again, but that's what I do, so bear with me. So there's that. I guess I should be making different videos for different topics, but I'm not even used to making regular videos to begin with, so they're usually pretty spur of the moment. So rabbit holes, how many have we gone down? Maybe a few. But my point is, find out what you got to do to work on yourself, to heal, and find ways of processing through the emotions, okay? For me, I've had to find a way to let my son's life inspire me. So sometimes that could be going on, I don't know, it could be different for everybody. You could be sharing about his life with people and how he inspired people, talking about him, letting his laughter flow through you, finding ways to have fun again. If your son loved nature, maybe it's being an advocate for nature and the environment and making a fundraising to go towards something like that, that will, the things that he loved and lived for or had a passion for, maybe you will start some type of a fundraiser for that. Maybe you will help other people who have had loss in their life and trying to find a way that you can help them. And you can talk about the beautiful memories that, you know what, it's okay to talk about your kid, and to laugh and to smile when you say his name or her name instead of cry. You could write poetry about how his life just inspired you to live, or how you want it to inspire you to live, or how he inspired so many people. You find a way to bring beauty from his life and let it shine through you. So for me, I went on walks and I played music, and I would listen to songs that found really inspirational songs. And I would sing them to him out on my walks, and sometimes I would dance in the streets as if I was dancing with him. I would talk to him. I would share with him my heart. And even at that time, I didn't know if he could consciously hear me or not. At that time, I wasn't really sure what I believed about whether he was conscious or not. It doesn't really matter. Talk to him. And if his energy just went back out and recycled into life, it's okay. You're honoring his memory and you're allowing his spirit to live through you as you talk to him. If you believe that he's consciously there with you, or in heaven, or whatever way you want to look at it, then you can talk to him as if he's with you, or you can pray to God and ask God to give the message for you. Whatever way you believe, it's okay. Just find a way to express your love for him and let that spirit of love emanate from you, and allow his spirit, his life, to live through you. Let it live through you. Let it inspire others through your life. Let them live through you. And if they are consciously there, they'll be like, Mom, Dad, sis, bro, or friend, or whatever. Let me live through you. Let my memories live through you. Inspire people. Inspire people to have fun or to laugh, that there's hope for tomorrow. And if you don't have hope for tomorrow, I don't want that to get you down either. Okay? Everyone, again, your belief systems is different. But I will encourage you to look at different perspectives and different people's experiences, and just see if that changes your mind a little bit. If it doesn't, you're hardcore, like materialist or into science only, and you believe that when we're dead, that's okay too. Find a way to allow his life to inspire through you. Live his life through you. I don't know how to explain that. Everyone's going to have to find their own way. I have found my way. I'm still finding my way. So sometimes it's going to take a process to get to that point, and that's okay. As long as you're taking one step every day, even a little step, and it could simply be, I'm going to get out of bed today. Maybe an hour before I usually do. I usually lay in bed for 6 hours after I wake up, or I lay in bed for 2 hours, or you know what I mean? It could be getting up an extra hour. It could be getting up and talking to yourself, looking yourself in the mirror for 30 seconds and saying, you're going to get through this. I believe in you. We're going to get through this. Things are going to get easier. There is hope. That could be all that you say, and that could be your one step. Another step can be putting on some inspirational music that inspires you and makes you feel like there is hope. Sometimes music, we don't give it the benefit of the doubt of how beautiful and healing it can be and therapeutic to our soul, to our spirit, to our hearts, to our emotions, to our mind. There's so many different ways we can look at it, but find music can be a huge, huge source of healing. Again, find out. Maybe you need to go for at least a 10-minute walk. Maybe you just need to get out and sit in front of the sun. Maybe you don't have enough energy yet because maybe the grief is so heavy that you have no ounce of strength in your being. Then you just get out on that front porch and sit in the chair and get at the fresh air and the sunlight. Breathe it in. Take some deep breaths and breathe in the fresh air. That could be your one step. And if you take one single step every day, one little baby step, every little baby step will get you further and further up the mountain. Okay? So the more steps we take, the more we'll go. But it's okay as long as we're making progress. It's when we think that nothing that we do is ever going to matter or things are never going to change. That's when things go downhill. Change the perspective. That can be the other thing. You need to rewire your thinking. That can be your one step. Maybe it's a matter of reading a book that teaches you how to do it, or going online and Googling it, or finding something on YouTube. I have tons of resources here on my YouTube channel if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, which is probably where it's going to be. But if you find, like on my YouTube channel, I have hundreds of playlists. Some of them might be private because they're not something that other people will care for. I'll have a lot that are, though. Most of them are public, and there's a lot of stuff on medical research. And I categorize all my playlists with a little icon so it makes it easy reference for finding things. There's a little snake around the medical symbol, a little snake around the pole that has to do with medical stuff or health. There's like butterfly stuff that's inspirational or spiritual, or, maybe about the afterlife, or, stuff like that. I have music symbols for different playlists that I've saved for music. I have inspirational playlists. I have encouraging playlists. I have my favorites. I have, ones that are pump-up songs sometimes that I just need something to push me through. I'm not usually a pump-up type of a girl. I'm usually a very sentimental, melancholy type of person for my music. But I'll even have some positive pump-up songs. Fearless Soul is a YouTube channel that has all kinds of great feel music. And then there's Fearless Motivation, or Fearless, Team Fearless. They have more pump-up type of positive songs. Sometimes there's ones that are a little bit more, like really deep feely or whatever. But you filter through them, find what works for you. And I found some really good stuff on that. And then, of course, multiple other artists that are amazing, that just share such beautiful music that is inspiring and encouraging. There's also on those YouTube channels, there's daily motivational videos that they make and stuff to help us with our mental health. Fearless Soul, of course, is more my favorite because it's more at the heart level. Team Fearless is usually a lot of it is used for athletes and people that need to push through pain, and it's kind of that venue. Those mindsets don't always work well for me, although sometimes they did work for me when my mind was so loud that I couldn't seem to think through, and sometimes I just needed that rougher music or that rougher stance of like, you're gonna get through this, and kind of like, and I would just listen to that and walk fast and try to push myself through. And for a season of time, those really helped me. But for seasons, usually I like the more melancholy type of soothing motivational, like, look at the things that you can be thankful for and be inspired by today. What are those things that you can be thankful for? And like, motivational stuff like that. All of that to help rewire the thinking when this is so loud and you can't think through it. Sometimes it's good to listen to someone that will help put those words into your mind until you can clear the clouds away and see clearly to think for yourself and have more healing therapeutic thoughts. So all of that said, I think maybe I'm coming to a close. I hope that some of that will help. I know that I've rabbit trailed a lot, um, but there's so many different little techniques that we can do to try to heal, okay? So my encouragement today is that you find those things to heal in your life. Don't over focus on your pain and your loss, okay? You're going to need to do that for a while, okay? It's part of the healing process. And even as you start getting stronger, and again, when I say heal, remember that that does not mean that the pain or the heartache is still not there. It just means that the scar is still there, but you can live on and you can feel and enjoy life again. The pain and that hole in your heart is still going to be there, whether you believe they're consciously alive or not on the other side. That hole's still there because they're not physically here with you, okay? So there's always going to be that pain. So when I say healing, I don't mean that you don't feel pain again. That's not what I mean, okay? So there's a way to find healing and to move on with your life, but still always holding them dear and near to your heart at all times. Okay, I have a pillow with his picture imprinted on my bed, and every morning and every night I look at those pictures. There's one of him when he was really young, and then when he was getting close to a teenager, and then just 2 months before he passed away. And I look at each one of those and I remember his beautiful, vibrant personality at each level. And I just say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And sometimes I'm hugging the pillow when I'm crying. And other times I'm just looking at him and say, you know what? I love you, Jayden. I love you. And then I go about my day and I go about my walk and I do my self-work. I listen to podcasts. I listen to inspirational music. I use cognitive therapy and self-talk. I put my arms up to the sky and I dance and I find connection with the universe or nature or God or universal divine oneness or consciousness, whatever you want to call, whatever you want, whatever is your higher power or your strength, grab a hold of that and just sometimes open your arms and say, I just receive that love and that strength for another day. It could be from grounding. Get your bare feet on the ground and earth yourself. Hug a tree. Get connected with nature. Find a way. Pick flowers. Smell them. Let that fragrance come in. And remember the beauty and the things that we have to be thankful for. And the life, the awesome gift that we were given, that we had to know this beautiful soul that came into the world and was a part of our lives. And we got to know them and to love them and experience that love, where some people have never had a child or never had someone they loved so much that they lost in this world. But we did. And if it was for a short period of time of that love, it was the most beautiful gift that we could have. And we had it. Be thankful for today, for the love that you were gifted for in your life, through that one that you lost, and the here and now. But those memories and the spirit of who they are can live through you. Let that vibrancy and that love live through you. Let it live through you. And find inspiration by allowing their life to give you hope. And maybe it's to give other people hope that you can smile again, that you can love again, that you can find a reason and a purpose in this life to allow them to inspire you to help others or to help yourself more. Maybe you've never really done deep work on yourself before. Maybe this is what's going to motivate you to do it. That you are worth something and you are valuable and you are loved and you are worth it. You are worth it and you are loved. Maybe that's the message your loved one wants you to know, is your value and your purpose is beautiful. And you don't have to believe that there's a divine purpose. You can, but you don't have to. Whatever way, again, you want to look at it, whether to find out what your purpose is, or I'm going to create my purpose. That is what you're looking at. Just find your purpose. To let that love of your loved one shine through you in a way that he wants or she wants you to know that you are loved, just like you love them. That other people are loved, that there's hope for tomorrow. Find out what your purpose is. If your kid loved animals, maybe you're going to go out there and be a vet or help make fundraising to help abandoned animals. Find what your purpose is. Find a way to let their life live through you. And I share that today, and I hope that it's encouraged you. If it has, please click the like button and share it if you like as well. If not, that's totally okay too. I just hope that this will help someone who has been going through loss. And I want you to know that there is hope. There is hope and strength. But you gotta go for it. You can't just wait for it to come to you. We've got to make the steps. One step every day will help bring you further and further up the mountain, and it will get easier. Sending you much love and peace. Take care.